The fact that I could get this giant hunk of aluminum, cut, bent, drilled, all the stuff, even with the little trap door here for 200 bucks, in my mind is insane. All right guys, welcome back to the channel. If you just got here, welcome. If you've been here a while, welcome back. We've all heard the old adage, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. But we're gonna find out here in a couple weeks when I actually get these things put on. But right now, as it stands, you can see that I have 4 sections of skid plate. A full set of skid plates for the Ford F-150 for 200 bucks. It should fit pretty much in anything from the 2008 or 9, I think, all the way up to maybe 17, maybe even after that. I don't know how much they changed at the actual underpinnings of that, but as you can see, they are an aluminum skid, so they are not as maybe as strong as the steel skids are, but they're a heck of a lot lighter, especially in comparison to what I'm used to. Having had RCI skids on most of my other rigs on the Lexus, and I think the Jeep had it on there. The Jeep might have had something else. I know my black Jeep had asked for aluminum skids, so kind of similar to what these would be. But I know my Lexus had RCI skids. My Lincoln that I had lifted had RCI skids on it, also from an F-150. And we're gonna take a deeper look at this here in a second to show you what you're getting for $200, and I'll tell you where I got it from. But before we do that, I do wanna say that pretty much everything here, if you have an Expedition and you wanna do this, pretty much everything here will fit exactly like it ought to fit, except this piece here. This is the only piece that I've found, or heard about at least, that there is an issue with. And this is the transfer case cover. There's an issue because of how the transfer case itself sits on the truck. The cross member that goes underneath of the transfer case on the Expedition, I believe, is lower than the cross member on the F-150. It sits up higher in the truck, basically. And since the Expedition really wasn't made to be, you know, crawling around on rocks, it was made to be taking kids to their soccer practice or whatever. All the jokes I hear all the time. They didn't maybe consider all that. Now, on the flip side, we do know that the Expedition was used a lot of times for the SSV vehicles, the Forest Service vehicles and stuff like that. And then they had the FX4 versions, which not a lot of people bought. But it was used, at least on the service roads, gravel roads, and for Forest Service and stuff like that. So there are skid plate kits you can get. There's a skid plate for the gas tank that you can buy. That would have to be the stock version. But as far as buying aftermarket stuff, you basically have to buy things that come for the F-150, unless you're in the newer Expeditions, because Ford has gotten in the off-road scene, and so they're doing a lot more stuff for those models. But this right here is the only thing I can see that I'll have to maybe modify or even not use. We'll have to find out how good it is. Now, given that these are aluminum skids, I wouldn't be planning on bashing these against a rock anywhere. You know, they're there for the light contact with rock and for wood, logs, sticks, random things that come up when you're driving over them that might damage components or rip a wire down or get lodged in somewhere, things like that. The main piece obviously is going to be your oil pan and your this big transmission skid. I mean, this is really, if for nothing else, the fact that I could get this giant hunk of aluminum here, drilled, bent, cut, all the stuff, even with the little trap door here for fluid exchange, which I probably would just take the skid off, but it's there. But the fact that you can get this all for 200 bucks, honestly, in my mind, is insane. So I think one of these would probably be about $200, depending on where you get it from. And so let's go over to the bench here and talk a little bit about how I got these for less than 200 bucks, and then start to look at what you get and the quality of what I'm holding in my hands. So the story how I ended up with these skid plates that I paid about $191 for, I think, if I look back at eBay and see that, is that I was looking on Amazon and around. I was looking at RCI because that's who I've used before, and they make great stuff. And they have decent prices, and they usually have really good sales. And I just wasn't looking to spend $800 to $1,000 at the time. So I was planning on just getting their front skid plate set, which is, I think, is the front underneath the radiator and then underneath the motor. And then I would just, you know, pick up the belly pan, which is essentially, you know, the transmission cover at some other point in time. But as I was looking through that, I wanted to see if I could get it on Amazon and through for RCI or through eBay, because I think I had a gift card or something there. So I was just trying to, you know, pinch pennies basically. And as I was looking on Amazon, I came across a full set of aluminum skid plates for like 900 bucks or 800 bucks or something like that. And I thought, man, that's really cheap for that, even, you know, compared to what I think RCI was, or maybe it was less. I can't remember who was 900, maybe it was 600 or something. Anyways, point is, I found a full set. It was fairly decent, even better than RCI normally would do. But right under it, obviously, as Amazon does, there was another thing. It was the same exact picture as the one above it, but it was $200 some. So I started to research and to look and think, like, how in the world does that even happen? How do you know, how is that even a thing? Can it possibly be the same thing, just unbranded? And this is what I think happens most of the time, and why you can find deals like this on both on eBay and on Amazon. A lot of these companies outsource their products, obviously, to China. And anything that goes into China is basically owned by the Chinese government as far as production is concerned, because, you know, communism is the government controls the means of production. That's one of their basic tenets. And China uses that to their advantage, and that's why your electronics, a lot of times there's knockoffs of everything, because once it's put through their process of production, they can pretty much just steal the designs. And it's either that or the vendors or the manufacturers on the Chinese end of things just simply sell the design. Or they just make another company and they sell what they know is popular in the United States, but for cheap. One way or the other, it's basically, in my opinion, and I would need another set of skid plates from a big name to you know, make sure this is legit. But from what I can tell and what I think really happens is that these are the same exact skid plates that you would buy from Asfer or from RCI or from any of these other guys like Metal Cloak and different things, except they don't have a name on them. Now, if you look through eBay and through Amazon, you'll find ones that have, like for this front skid, for example, you'll have them, there's a few of them that have this name carved into it. And I can't remember what it is. It's some rando name, and I really didn't want that. So I actually spent a little bit of time looking through to find one that didn't have any markings on them at all. So these are just bare bones. There's no marking, no branding, no stamps, no nothing, which at the end of the day doesn't matter. Like, you don't need someone's name stamped on it, period. You just need the metal itself, basically cut, bent, and drilled. As long as it's cut, bent, and drilled, and I would honestly, in my case, I would even care if it was just cut and bent. You could, you know, drill the holes yourself if you wanted to. It'd be a lot harder. You'd have to find a template, or you probably have to find a template or something. But anyways, that's what I think happens here. So I'll have the link below for the eBay place that I bought these from, which I will not get any money from because I have no affiliation. You know, I don't think you can even get affiliated links through eBay. But I'll actually put the Amazon link down there, which I do get some money out of. So you can either go the exact same route I did and end up with what I have here, and I'll get nothing out of it, or you can help me out, use the Amazon link, which I think is about the same price, and you'd have better shipping options with that, and it would also help me out. So that's up to you. Anyways, let's take a look at what you get for $191, and then you can kind of decide whether or not you like it. So first thing off, right off the bat, was that the packaging was damaged. Now that's not on the manufacturer at all. There's a giant hole in the back. I think it came from FedEx, so you know how FedEx gets. So there's a scratch or something. There's a dent, I think, on one of the things. It's not bad. It's nothing more than you would have got, you know, from hitting a rock or a root or anything else. And I think that's the second thing here, is that if you look at it, there's actually quite a few scratches and dings, just really all surface stuff, but like somebody just made it quick and sent it out the door. You can still see the lines from the machining where they made the bends in the metal or in the aluminum. All of the edges feel unfinished. So if you like to moisturize your hands, I wouldn't recommend running your hands across the edge of this. It might cut your dainty little hands open. But in my opinion, none of those things matter. Mainly, and this is, number one, is because scratches, surface things, marks, all that stuff, even the branding, marks and names and stamps and everything else. None of that makes a bit of difference. This is going to go on the bottom of a truck and it's going to get the heck beat out of it. It's going to hit rocks, it's going to hit roots, it's going to hit, get water, snow, salt, all kinds of stuff. If you're concerned about some scratches, some rough edges, and some marks left by the machinery and stuff like that, then this may not be for you. Now, according to the reviews on this, and I'll have to confirm this when I actually put it together, some of the reviews said that some of the holes didn't exactly line up. So when you're messing with stuff like this, that's only $191, $200, obviously you're going to lose some quality control. That's probably the biggest thing. Now, if it was with electronics or with a locker or something like that, or rear end gears, I would definitely not recommend you going cheap and getting, Chinese knockoffs for that. But for something like this, that's basically a sacrificial metal on the bottom of your rig to keep it from getting holes poked in the oil pan or destroying something underneath, these are going to be great. They are definitely thicker than OE skid plates, and I'm going to measure them here in a second, and I can show you exactly how thick these are so you can kind of determine for yourself. But these, from what I can see, this is a solid skid plate, as good as anything that I've seen before. Now, obviously with RCI skids, they were finished, they had powder coat on them, and they were steel, the ones I used, and so they were a lot heavier than this. But the Asper ones I had on my Jeep way back when, they were about the same thickness, I believe, and the same weight and all that good stuff. And obviously aluminum doesn't come coated. You could paint it if you wanted to, but there's really no reason to do that. And honestly, there's really no reason to get powder coated skid plates either, because powder coat tends to flake off in chunks, and it would be better just to get bare metal. And this is my opinion now, because I've stopped getting powder coated stuff for off-road work, because it almost always chips and almost always gets something wrong with it, some kind of scratch. And to try and touch up powder coat is, not possible. It just isn't possible, because you have to bake. There's a process to powder coating. It's much better to simply have bare metal, spray it down with some primer, get some rattle cans, cover it up, and then put some bed liner from my Home Depot. And I like that because it's finer, it's not as thick and chunky as the roll-on bed liner gets, and it just gives it a nice fine texture. And if you get any kind of knocks or bumps on it, you can easily touch it up and fix it. Same thing goes with skid plates and all that kind of stuff. So a long time ago, I stopped getting powder coated stuff. I just get bare metal and I do it myself, because it's going to get scratched and I want to be able to touch it up easy. And anyway, so I think for $191, and it came decently quick. I had no issues with shipping, no issues with tariffs. It must have been US, stocked in the United States. I had no issues at all, except for how it was packaged and some of the dings and scratches you see there. And it kind of remains to be seen if these holes won't line up perfectly. But as the one reviewer said, the holes don't line up absolutely perfect on a $191 set of skid plates. I can drill it out and I can deal with it. And the same thing goes for the transfer case skid. I can bend it if I want to, or I'll find a way to make it work. I've seen how somebody made it work on their Expedition, so we'll see how that kind of pans out. At the end of the day, I've never hit a transfer case, and I've never had transfer case skids, and I've been quite a few different places, and my Lexus and the Jeep and a couple other things I've had. So I don't see it being a big issue. You might, but it's up to you. So anyways, this is my review as far as unboxing and looking at the physical look quality of these super cheap eBay skids. And then you can kind of make your decision when you see them, if you want to go ahead and buy them, with the links down below. And then I will let you know how well they install. So whatever you do, keep it clean, keep it open, and remember that adventure favors the bold. So make sure you get out there this weekend and try something new, whether it's off-road, outdoors, with your wife, kids, whatever it might be. Try something new, see where it goes. We'll see you on the next one.